front.
Yeah, so that was the guy that rode by last night, so he was gone all night.
What would you do if the quiet woods suddenly turned into your worst nightmare? These campers found out the hard way and caught it all on camera. On November 28th, 2021, in Dartmoor's Great Links Tour, around 7:33 p.m, with his heavy backpack, he climbed the foggy paths of Dartmoor and finally reached the summit of Great Links Tour just before sunset. The air was still, the silence broken only by the sound of his boots. The weather was cold. He chose a spot to set up his tent.
So I'm just going to have a little bit of a reposition now. So I'm going to unpeg it, move it around just so I've got enough room when I get in and out of my tent. It's the beauty of the freestanding tents. There we go. So that's where I'm going to be.
As he settled into his tent, the first disturbing sound came. A faint sound outside, but it was not the wind. He froze in fear, trying to listen closely. Then came the soft thud of hooves against the ground. Dartmoor's ponies, he thought. But something didn't feel right. Something far more sinister was surrounding his tent.
So Great Links Tour all to myself. It's so eerie here tonight, it's so still. And it's just coming really, really foggy.
The sounds grew louder, circling his tent. He heard growls and the unmistakable sound of ropes being tugged. He peeked out, flashlight in hand, and saw shapes in the mist. The ponies? Or something else? One appeared near his tent pole, staring through the fog, its eyes reflected weirdly in the light.
It's really no more mesh than... Hey! Someone eating my poles. What are you doing? Don't eat my poles. Oh yeah, I was saying it's about the same amount of mesh as my Cloud Up 2, and I've used that through the winter. Fine. God, that made me jump a bit. I think he's still out there. Oh, his mate now. Can you believe this? Go away. I don't want you over here. Go on. Go on.
He tried to focus on his book, a collection of Dartmoor legends. One story, The Black Phantom Pig, told of Judge Jeffreys, who was said to haunt the moors in the form of a ghostly pig. The thought made him uneasy. Suddenly, a sharp sound jolted him, a snap like something breaking. His tent ropes? Chills ran down his spine. What was that?
It's time for Dartmoor Legends. A couple months back, I went out with the patrons, Chris and Paul, and I read a story and it had a pig in it, and it went down quite well. Chris especially liked it. Well, here's another one. This one tonight is called Judge Jeffreys and the Big Black Phantom Pig. George Jeffreys, listening to the horses, I've calmed down a bit about the horses now. I keep calling them horses, they're ponies. They're not quite so inquisitive now. Touch wood. When I've got all my lights and that off and I'm just sat in here, it's not actually dark. It's quite light coming through the tent. So there must be a moon out there above that cloud somewhere. The mat is quite comfy. Perhaps the larger one might have been a bit better, because even though I'm not falling off the end, it doesn't feel quite wide enough. It's not been an issue, but I just feel like I'm perched on the end of the bed. Do you know what I mean? The Trekology.
He grabbed his flashlight and stepped outside, but the mist made everything feel smaller and closer. He saw nothing, only the faint shapes of rocks and ponies in the distance. He called out, "Go away!" But would it go away if he asked them?
It's morning, 6:23, still dark. I slept like a log. I was warm all night, comfy. It's a nice comfortable mattress. Just got out for a pee. Another fault with this tent, when you open the door up, the door flaps in and you get like a wet, cold face full of wet, cold door. And then the roof bit comes over like halfway across the door, and then when you play with the zip, all that water on the top runs and then drips down into the tent. That's a bit of a pain in the arse. So the roof capping, whether you can keep that attached and still be easy to put your poles up, I should think it would be. It's not an issue, but if it was raining, you want that attached. Why they can't just attach it, I don't know. And then it's just the door issues. The doors are an issue.
As he tried to sleep, a loud grunt and a shuffle startled him again. This time, it was right outside his tent. He held his breath. Something heavy brushed against the tent wall, then stopped. Minutes passed, feeling like hours. Then, silence.
I'm just packing down the tent at sunrise and getting out of here. He said, I'd love to see you struggling with this in the morning, getting all that stuff in that pack. So let's see how easy that is. It's amazing to think, isn't it, when you look around all this gear in this little shelter, you know, it all fit into this backpack carried on my back. It's good, isn't it? Right, so I'm going to start packing my stuff down. I keep everything in my tent bag. So
by dawn, the mist had lifted slightly. He packed his gear, the eerie quiet now heavier than the night's noises. As he left, he glanced back at Great Link's Tor. For a moment, he thought he saw something in the distance, standing on the ridge, a black shape, watching. But he didn't stay to find out.
There we go. Backpack's on. That's how you leave your campsite.
Moors kept their secrets, as they always had. With that being said, let's move on to our second piece of disturbing camping footage. On December 20th, 2021, during wild camping on White Edge, Peak District, 10:14 p.m, he pitched his tent on White Edge, surrounded by the quiet beauty of the Peak District. Everything seemed peaceful, but he couldn't shake the disturbing feeling.
Somehow again, last camp of 2021. And for a change, somewhere different. So I'm at the Peak District. Been working up this way, so thought I'd take the opportunity to come and sneak out into Mesna country. Did a request on Facebook for places to go, so I've picked out somewhere which Dan Jones sent me. So thanks, Dan, if you're watching.
Around 10:14 p.m, the first eerie, disturbing sound came. A low, guttural growl, distant yet unmistakable. He paused, holding his breath. Was it a deer? A fox? No, this was something different. He turned off his stove, the faint hiss replaced by a silence.
So I've had a couple of unsuccessful attempts at doing night lapses. I think the moon's too bright and there's too much ambient light in the area for it to come out any good. But I might give it another try later on, stick the power bank on it. I had the power bank attached earlier on because the batteries are just dying quite quickly in the cold. But then my phone started to die. So I went from 10% down to 1% quite rapidly. So I swapped it out. Hopefully this is recording because I've made about 3 recordings now, and halfway through it stops the film but carries on with the audio, which is a bit weird. I don't know what's going on with this camera, but I don't think I'm going to be doing much more. It's about 9:30 now, so I'm probably going to hit the sack shortly, and I'll catch you guys in the morning. Right, so I've heard deer, I've heard foxes,
The growling returned, louder and more aggressive. It seemed to come from every direction, surrounding him. He scrambled back into the tent, zipping it up quickly. The thin fabric felt like his only shield.
I don't know if you heard that. Not sure if the camera picked it up, but God knows what it is. It's quite a weird guttural sound. I'll try and boost it on the edit, see if you can hear it, because that is really weird.
The noises changed. He held his sleeping bag, trying to keep breathing. The steps stopped. Then something brushed against the tent wall. He froze, staring at the slight bulge as if something was leaning against it.
Did you hear that? That's quite eerie. It does not sound like a deer. Definitely doesn't sound like a fox. Odd. Right, I'm going to zip up and put my earplugs in, I think. Try and get some sleep, and hopefully I'll still be here in the morning. Good night. Good morning. I'm acting like I've just woke up. It's about 7 o'clock. I've been up since 5.
Morning couldn't come fast enough. He was exhausted but relieved to see the first rays of sunlight. As he packed his gear, he found deep scratch marks on the ground near his tent. Whatever had been there last night wasn't a deer or a fox.
So I'll show you that, and you can tell me what you think in the comments below. So basically what I've done here is, this was the original ram's hook clip that broke. You can see there, the 2 hooks just snapped off in the wind. It's just not up to it. Awful design, cheap. So I've left the 2 cords on the doors, and what I've done is I've got these very small carabiner clips. So they now clip to the original string that was on there. Guy outline attached to the top here. I know a lot of people attach it to this, or 1 to each part, but I don't see any real benefit to that apart from having 2 long strings sticking out. So not ideal as far as I'm concerned. But these work for now, and I'll also be getting the Z-Pax ram's horn soon as well, because everyone knows a Dave is bringing me one over from the States.
The Peak District had given him an unforgettable final camp of 2021, one he wasn't eager to repeat. The growls and footsteps still echoed in his mind as he walked back to his car, leaving White Edge and its secrets behind. Moving on to our third disturbing camping encounter. On July 27th, 2022, in Bradford, West Yorkshire, the woods in Bradford had always been this camper's favourite camping spot. Quiet, sheltered, and seemingly perfect. But this time, something was different. The camper arrived to find the area trashed, with burnt mattresses, broken branches, and scattered rubbish. The peaceful site was no longer the haven it once was. Little did he know this place was now covered with the secrets he was about to witness.
Last time I was down here about 3 months ago, so I haven't been down since then. And obviously, get off. People just fucking ruin it for everyone, don't they? It's a right shithole. Right, I'm gonna get cleaned up a bit and get set up. Oh, it started raining now as well. I've half got the tent up, look. But I have brought a tarp with me as well. So I need to get this up.
After cleaning up, he set up camp. The fire glowed as the night deepened, and soon disturbing sounds filled the air. It started with the snapping of twigs, distant but very loud. Then came a low growling noise, unnatural and terrifying. It echoed through the trees, sending chills down their spine. The sound wasn't of any known animal, certainly not in England.
I had all sorts planned tonight as well.
The noises grew louder, followed by loud splashes of water in the nearby stream. Whatever it wasn't visible by the firelight. Shadows were all around the edges of the camp, just out of sight. The camper tried to brush it off by saying that it might be wind or someone playing a prank. But deep down, he knew this wasn't a trick. Something sinister was trying to disturb his peace of mind.
What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Come on, someone's fucking with us. Someone's got to be fucking with us, haven't they? Holy fuck.
A strange light appeared, hovering briefly by the hammock. It moved unnaturally, with what looked like wings and faint glowing patterns. The camper's heart froze in fear as he grabbed his knife, only for defense. The growling stopped, replaced by a heavy silence. Then, a loud crash shattered the stillness, as if something huge had stepped closer.
Not even moving. Oh, this fucking wind's picked up now. Can't hear anything. Fuck, is it just wind or what? Am I paranoid? Oh, fuck knows. I think my mind's playing tricks on me. Excuse you. Fucking hell, that stinks.
The camper didn't wait to see what it was. Gathering his gear in a rush, he left the site, the eerie noises following them until the valley opened into the road. Bradford's woods, once a peaceful retreat, had become a nightmare. He vowed never to return. Let's move on to our fourth disturbing clip. On January 27th, 2023, in Dalby Forest, the forest was freezing, with snow covering the ground and cold air biting his face. He set up his tarp, hands shaking from the chill. Dalby Forest was quiet, but it carried an eerie feeling. This place was known for strange lights, UFOs, and stories of animals and even people found hurt in strange ways.
Have been reported for centuries. Explanations range from everything between common predators to UFOs. The animal's ears, eyes, udders, anus, sex organs, and even tongues have all routinely been removed, seemingly with a sharp-cleaned instrument. Their carcasses have often been drained of blood, with no tracks or footprints in the immediate vicinity, nor were any of the usual opportunistic scavengers. Reports of such unexplained mutilations have been carried out on both humans and animals, and have baffled investigators for decades, leading to speculation about whether or not the perpetrators might be otherworldly beings, conducting biological experiments on some of Earth's inhabitants.
He then heard a sharp snap, like a branch breaking nearby. His flashlight scanned the dark trees, but there was nothing. Lily, his dog, stood still, her glowing green collar shining through the shadows. She wasn't acting like herself, and it made him uneasy.
Hi guys, I'm not sure how well you can all hear me. I've just come into the woods, sat down, dropped my bag, and got my little lantern set up at the side of me. It's absolutely freezing. The forecast did predict that the temperature would be dropping significantly as the night progresses, but my god, it's extremely cold. I've not even checked.
A low growl cut through the night. It wasn't a fox or any animal he knew. The sound was deep, almost like it came from something big. His heart raced as he pulled Lily closer, trying to stay calm.
I'm gonna get a hot drink on right now because I need to get something warm inside me as this temperature begins to drop and drop even further. So Lily's got her collar on, her illuminated collar, just for anyone that's interested. The colours tonight is green. Last time we had red, tonight it's green. So if you do see any green lights running through the trees behind me, it's likely to be Lily. Yeah.
Lily started barking wildly and ran toward the trees. Her green light bounced through the darkness, but he couldn't see what she was chasing. The air felt heavier now, like the forest itself was alive and watching him.
I must say I'm really impressed with Lily's light. I can see her off at a distance right now. Lily, come. I just want to show you guys the colour so you are familiar with. But in reality, those stars are light years apart. However, I wonder what it's like being on a planet orbiting one of those. Like, do you still get all the light from the other stars? Because to us, from this far, from this distance, it looks like they're relatively close, but...
A loud thud hit the ground right outside his tarp. It was heavy, not something falling from a tree. He didn't move, frozen with fear, barely breathing.
crazy that this video picks up the stars. It's insane. I'm not complaining. There's some lights over there in the distance. I'm not sure what that is. My initial thought, that's Lily, obviously the green one, and she's really close to me, but those two white lights.
The night was long, and every small sound made him jump. When morning finally came, he packed his things quickly and left, not daring to look back. The forest seemed calm in the daylight, but he knew what he recorded wasn't normal. Dalby Forest wasn't just a place with strange stories. That night, it felt like the stories were real, and he was part of one.
Good girl. Good girl. I'm gonna have to put my hands in my pocket for a little while.
Moving on to our fifth disturbing camping encounter, caught on camera. On November 19th, 2022, during stealth camping in the woods, this camper encountered his worst nightmare. The woods were quiet as he arrived at a small clearing, hidden deep in the trees. It was a Friday night, and he decided to spend it camping alone, testing out a new bivvy bag. The darkness crept in quickly, and he set up his camp in the fading light, his breath fogging in the cold air.
It soon got dark. Right, I'm chatting away because I'm bored. I'll bring you back in a bit.
As he settled down, he talked about how camping alone always felt different. He thought he heard a stream nearby, but wasn't sure. The forest was playing tricks on his ears.
So I can leave that on now and just put my phone on, like I say, watch some YouTube or something like that. I've just been watching Mrs. Brown Boy's Christmas special from last year. There's one person I love as well as that.
The night was still, but then a sound broke the silence, a strange sniffing noise, low and deliberate. It sounded like a dog, but something about it felt wrong. He froze in fear. The sniffing then grew louder. It wasn't just random. It was too steady, too intentional.
Sniffing noise like a dog. It sounded a bit different to that. Earlier we're on about if you're with somebody else, things like this won't bother you, and it's true. But when you're by yourself, little noises do give you butterflies, and it gets your attention pretty quick.
He turned his flashlight on and looked outside, but the beam revealed nothing but trees and shadows. Whatever was making the sound wasn't visible. He lay back down, trying to convince himself it was just his mind playing tricks.
2 or 3 times through the night, just kept waking up. Quite heavy sniffing. I don't think it was a dog. Can't have been a dog. Could have been a badger
probably. I don't know. Every time I woke up and looked around, it wasn't there.
He left the clearing quickly, the memory of the night lingering in his mind. He'd been camping alone for years, but this was the first time he'd felt truly spooked. The woods had a way of reminding you how small and vulnerable you are.
Now what I'm going to do is, while my water's boiling, I'm going to start packing some of this stuff away. I did have some condensation, not a lot though, on the top.
The woods had a way of reminding you how small and vulnerable you were. Whatever had made those noises was gone now, but the feeling it left behind stayed with him long after he left the forest. With that being said, let's move on to our 6th eerie encounter in the woods during camping. On February 11th, 2024, he decided to camp deep in the woods, away from everything, to test himself against the cold and quiet. The fire was burning and the night was still, but as sun set, the forest seemed to be a house of paranormal activities. He was going to regret his decision to visit this forest alone.
Something was scratching the tent, and it walked halfway around it scratching. Something's walking out there.
So, all right, we got our fire going behind us. It is currently...
While walking to check the offering tree, something flew past him, crashing into the ground from above. He couldn't tell if it was a branch or something else, but the feeling of being watched crept in.
Widowmakers, when you're pitching your tent, like that was... I don't know what that was, but imagine if that was a monster limb now. What the... What is that noise coming from the lake? So yeah, in part 1 I had mentioned that this time I was going to do no knocks, no whoops, and leave them no food, because you guys have been commenting that all those things are bad to do.
Later, at midnight, a loud crash outside his tent woke him. He sat up, straining to hear. Then the footsteps stopped, and something heavy hit the side of his tent. He froze, barely breathing. It wasn't an animal. It felt like something or someone was doing it on purpose.
I just heard a... I don't know if I was even all the way asleep or what, but there was a huge crash outside. Do you hear that? Stop turning my light down. There's more than one. More than one. Crap, wrong way.
Things got more creepy when the sound of breathing came next, just outside the thin fabric of his shelter. It was slow, heavy, and chilling. The noise continued, and then something was thrown at the tent again. Chills ran down his spine as he gripped the small weapon he had for protection.
It's throwing stuff at the tent. I'm armed. No. I can hear it.
Whatever it was, it left, but the eerie feeling stayed. He sat there in silence, his heart pounding. Taking no chances, he grabbed his gear and left as quickly as possible.
There's 2 of them. There's people, creatures, whatever that was. I am leaving before they come back. I do not feel safe. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not. Yeah, right now I hear nothing. I'm getting out of here.
A week later, he returned to collect the gear he had left behind. His tent was destroyed. A cinder block had been smashed through it, and the fabric was sliced as if by a knife. Standing there, he realized this wasn't an animal or a ghost. This was a person, someone dangerous, watching him that night in the woods.
So glad we left. Man, I'm so glad we left, guys. Look at that. Look at that. Frickin' cinder block.
He never camped there again. The memory of that night stayed with him, the sound of breathing and the footsteps in the dark haunting his every thought. With this eerie encounter coming to an end, let's move on to our next terrifying camping encounter. On April 17th, 2023, during a solo camping adventure, he camped alone, enjoying the quiet until 7:43 p.m. when a man on a bike appeared. The man didn't wave or speak, just stared blankly. It was creepy and disturbing at the same moment.
Yeah, so that was the guy that rode by last night, so he was gone all night.
The stare was cold, unblinking and disturbing. Even as the man disappeared into the trees, his eyes stayed fixed on him.
I bet you that's where he's at.
It's kind of creeped me out a bit. Like he just, dead stared at me. He had yellow sunglasses on. The kind that I could still see his eyes.
He didn't sleep that night. By dawn, he packed quickly and left, the memory of that eerie stare haunting him.
Yeah, so that was the guy that rode by last night, so he was gone all night. I bet you that's where he's at.
It's kind of creeped me out a bit. Like he just, dead stared at me. He had yellow sunglasses on. The kind that I could still see his eyes.
Let's move on to our next disturbing camping encounter. On August 23rd, 2024, during a haunted graveyard investigation, he walked through the graveyard, his camera ready. At 10:17 p.m., as he took a photo near an old headstone, a figure appeared in the frame, a pale woman in white, standing still among the graves.
YouTuber, Midwest Ghost Hunter, decided to explore an abandoned graveyard in Minnesota. The old graveyard used to be a part of a thriving town, but now it's just a ghost town. People visiting the cemetery report seeing an alarming amount of paranormal activity, and many locals tell investigators to stay away. And this YouTuber soon finds out why. He begins his investigation at what appears.
When he looked up, she was gone, but the image was clear, and her eyes seemed to follow him, even on the screen.
Appears to be a smashed grave.
What happened? Is it vandalized? Okay, I just heard you.
Knowing that he is not alone, he continues his investigation to another tombstone.
Oh, whoa!
He decides to take pictures of the site in hopes of capturing some kind of ghostly figure. If you look closely at this image, you can see what appears to be 2 children. Do these 2 kids haunt the graveyard?
Shaken, he left quietly, vowing never to return to that graveyard again. With that being said, Let's move on to our next disturbing encounter. On the night of November 5th, 2024, Angelo decided to camp alone in one of the most haunted forests, though there was a heavy snowstorm that loomed over the area. As the snow fell thicker and the cold bit harder, Angelo started a fire to keep himself warm. However, the atmosphere was far from calm. Strange sounds echoed in the distance, and a disturbing feeling settled over.
First off, the weather is getting pretty bad. I thought I heard something for a second there. I heard like a metal clink, but it came from like down there.
Wait and see.
Wait and see? What am I gonna wait and see? Okay, I just heard like a growl right next to me. What? Yeah, this was a really bad idea. So, I expected the weather to like, not be the greatest. But to be honest, this is looking like worse than not the greatest. The hell was that?
A strange metallic sound was heard from the forest. Angelo ignored it at first, but then came a deep growl, seemingly right next to him. The eerie growl sent chills down his spine, but the real terror unfolded when his light malfunctioned and he thought he saw a figure, a man, standing silently at the edge of the trail.
Yeah, it looks like he just gave up, and I guess he's probably gonna walk. That's so funny. Oh, at least... Okay, I just heard like a growl right next to me. What the fuck was that? Dude, that's... Moon? What about the moon? What the hell was that? That literally sounded like it was right next to me almost. What was that? Okay, something just moved over there. Holy crap, the snow is really coming down right now. Yeah, this was a really bad idea. So, I don't know, I don't claim to be. Maybe some sort of empath. But I do feel stuff sometimes. And, what the hell? Why is my light not turning on? What the hell's going on here? Okay, I just saw a man standing at the end of this trail. What the fuck was that? There's no one here. Hello? Shouldn't be anyone here. I didn't hear any vehicles come up.
As the storm increased, so did the sense of being watched. The Spirit Talker app Angelo used suddenly said, "They will attack." This sinister warning made his heart race. He tried to calm himself by tending to the fire, but the creepy noises continued. A faint scream pierced through the howling wind, and shortly after, a loud thud came from the direction of a nearby cabin.
Back in the refrigerator. You did see wait and see. Did I see that same man that I saw last time? Was it something demonic? Maybe a miner?
Big.
Big. Something big is coming, or?
I can scare you.
Okay, so scare me. Just went so eerily quiet.
Guidance.
You need to attack. Who's gonna attack? The hell? Don't attack me. I have bear spray.
When Angelo finally gathered his courage to investigate, he found nothing inside the cabin, just emptiness. Yet the uneasy feeling persisted. The app mentioned the name Carella, but Angelo had no idea who or what it meant. Then the sound of something running nearby nearly froze him in place. Angelo knew he couldn't stay much longer.
He died doing what he loved. I mean, I might die tonight doing what I love. Just trying to get down this bloody mountain. Oh boy. What the fuck was that? Something literally just like ran over there. The fuck? That sounded like it was right here. Hello, dear?
Bathroom.
Bathroom? What the fuck? Is there something connected to this bathroom? I don't understand. Doesn't even make sense. Well, it looks like the snow is kind of picking up again. I think I need to get out of here soon. I'm going to probably wait another few minutes. I don't know what.
By the end of the night, as the storm grew worse, Angelo packed up his things, knowing he had barely escaped something sinister. That forest was alive with something more than snow and shadows, and Angelo left with the haunting feeling that whatever stalked him wasn't done watching. With that being said, let's move on to our last haunting camping encounter. On August 19th, 2023, a group of friends enjoyed a night of laughter and barbecue during their camping trip. The camera captured them joking and flipping meat on the grill, but when the footage was uploaded, viewers noticed something terrifying. It was no ordinary footage. As the camera turned toward the man at the barbecue, beneath the grill, a pale, ghostly human head with hollow eyes and twisted features was hanging silently. It was never there when the camera was recording them cooking. It vanished almost instantly, leaving a chill. Later, when the camera returned to the grill, the head reappeared, staring blankly before fading again. The eerie footage shook the internet, sparking fear and endless questions. No one at the camp saw anything that night, but the ghostly face remains, haunting everyone who watches. How is it possible for a head to appear and disappear on its own while a bunch of people are around? This is far more paranormal than you could have ever imagined. These scary moments show that the outdoors can hold many secrets. Strange sounds, odd lights, or shadows that don't make sense can turn a camping trip into a nightmare. Each person is left with a story they will never forget. So if you go camping, remember that sometimes it's better not to know what's out there. For more videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button and like this video. Comment below which case you find the most terrifying. Don't forget to press the bell icon for future notifications.